Welcome back to a Creative Cast, where a creative cast of people talk about creative things. I'm your host, Cali, and today I have with me...
The same people as always.
I'm Chris.
I'm Marshaun.
Yay! And today we're talking about... Dun dun dun... color!
That was both a very ominous and excited intro. The dun dun dun.
There's a lot of feelings about color.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's a very accurate way to introduce color.
There's a lot of colors, there's a lot of feelings. It's just a lot.
Yes.
I'm still skeptical about this choice.
Well, we're doing it. It's too late. I already hit record.
There's both a lot to talk about and nothing to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about. I just don't know. I don't.
Yeah.
We are not authorities on color.
Yes, disclaimer, we're not, like, authorities. We've like, granted, we've studied color theory minimally. This is mostly, like, us gonna be talking about, like, our experience with color and how we approach it, not, like, getting super into the nitty-gritty. Maybe someday.
Yeah.
But, like, I still don't understand color, but maybe for someone else out there who doesn't understand color, you'll find this comforting.
Yeah. If you're looking for an educational source on color theory, maybe we'll talk about some places where you can find that, but this is not it.
This is not it. This is just gonna be us talking about our struggle to understand the insanity that is color, because it's, like, way more complicated than you'd think.
Yes.
Like, oh my god, I was talking to my brother the other day, and I was telling him that we were gonna do this, and I was just like, oh, I'm so nervous, because, like, color's so complicated, and he's like, what do you mean? It's like red and blue and green, and I was just like, you don't understand. It's way more complicated than you think.
Yeah. I mean, school will start with the basic idea of a color wheel, but then it gets more and more in depth the more you learn.
For sure, yeah, nah, cause like, yeah, it's just like, oh, cool, there's a color wheel, but then figuring out, like, mixing colors
Right.
to make other colors. There's, like, the difference between, like, mixing paint colors and then mixing light colors, which, like, thank God I didn't do that, because that just seems like a whole other ball of craziness that I cannot fathom. And yeah, there was, like, the mixing colors and then, like, color relation, like how colors will look different depending on, like, what you put them by.
Yeah, I love those optical illusions where there's, like, the two squares that are the same color, but they look like totally different colors.
Yeah.
Because they're surrounded by different colors.
Yeah.
Total mind F.
Befuddlement.
Yes.
Mind-boggling.
I am perplexed by my brain.
Here's a question for you, Chris.
Yes.
We watched a music video. You showed me one that was very heavily inspired by color composition and color choices. I can't remember what it was. I think there were two, actually. But the first one you showed me a few years ago, I think was... the music video was about, like, a woman's life, I think, and, like, the different stages, and there were, like, people covered in different types of paint.
Yeah.
I remember that because that was one of the first times I started thinking about color being used as, like, an emotional narrative and segue. So
Right.
I kind of wanted to ask you, and I'll ask you too, Carolyn, in your, not your career, but your entire life, where has color been used as an exclamation, like a really impactful message that hit you hard that was color-based?
Yeah. Well, firstly, the music video that we're referencing is it's called "Wandering Star" by Polika, in case anyone wants to check it out. So that was one example of color that I think was really well done, in the sense that there's these, like, dancers that are covered with different types of paint, and those different colors represent different things. Like, the one in the beginning is green because it's, like, the start of growth and, like, growing up from childhood, and then there's a dancer that's covered in blue paint that's like calmness and wisdom. And then later in the video, there's all these colors, or all the dancers are covered in different colors. So it's kind of the idea that each of the dancers represents like one idea, but there's like a complexity to the idea because they're covered in different colors. So, yeah, that was one example. Do you guys have other things that come to mind?
I want to say that this is going to be you next, Carolyn, because I still need to find mine. But also, I wanted to make sure I got that again. What was the song called?
Wandering Star.
Wandering Star by Polika.
Yes.
Maybe we should come back in the not editing because we don't edit. But go back and put the link in the description.
Yeah, I can do that. I can do that. Yeah.
And fun fact, that music video was directed by Eugene from the Try Guys.
Ooh, I was actually gonna talk about him. What's it called? Cause Eugene had like his coming out video was like it was massive and it had like a lot of thought put behind like the color specifically. Like each stage of the video was represented by color and allies like in. Sorry, I almost knocked something over. So like the video basically is a whole dance through his life and his experiences and what it means to be gay and like how that's been his life and what that's been for him. And like each stage of the story and of the dance like is encapsulated in different colors. But there's also a secondary level to how he uses colors in the video with allies and aggressors. Yeah. Like allies in the like I believe in the beginning of the video where it's like him and his family and they're dancing around and showing like the representation of like masculinity and femininity and how like his son goes off with his father but he kind of goes off with his sister and his mother and he's kind of struggling between the two. And like I believe his family is mostly dressed in gray, kind of representing the neutrality and the innocence of like childhood and stuff. And the primary color in there is red. But then the next stage in the story is orange, where he's like primarily dressed in orange, and he's dancing around with a group of people. And by the end of the scene, it's very divided between like the allies who are like wearing black and then the aggressors who are wearing white. And that kind of follows through with like the rest of the story where there's like people arguing and going back and forth, like kind of the argument of like, you know, gay rights and things like that. And that's how he represents those people. But yeah, there's his use of color in that video is phenomenal and it's beautiful and amazing. 10 out of 10, totally recommend. Like artistically, it's very well done.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about that video is kind of the duality he's able to achieve with the color message, because I mean the very obvious thing is that he moves throughout the entire rainbow, which is obviously the symbol for the gay flag.
Right.
But it's also each color that he uses in like a more higher level color theory sense has something to say about the certain scene.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like it's a very straightforward color message, but it's also a, high level color theory.
Yeah, no, there's layers to how he uses the color and what they mean and how they're like his approach to them, and that's really great. And I think I watched the behind the scenes video of it too. He put a lot of effort into that video, and it shows.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see the connection between that and the music video that I was talking about.
Really? Yeah, no. It's beautiful.
So I've been trying to figure out how to answer your question, and I don't really know if I have any one thing in particular that was just like the moment where color like really hit me. But I've definitely brought up Journey before, and I need to stop talking about Journey.
Never stop talking about Journey.
But Journey is one of those very clear examples of the power of color in narrative. Much like the video we were just talking about, Journey utilizes color in a way to kind of move the story kind of as one of its only narrative pushing points. Of course, we've got like the characters who don't speak, and they kind of they have their ways of interaction, and then we have the audio aspect of it, which is also pretty impressive. But like the game starts you off with the same palette that the main screen is, with the same palette that the marketing for it is, and you just go into this world, and it's all like this sand color. It's like this vastness where you feel like you're the only small thing in this massive space of everything else.
Yeah.
But it's just you, and that isolation really comes through with like this, like I said, this dull yellow. It doesn't feel like anything too bright and vibrant. It's not super exciting. But once things start moving, once the sun starts setting, once the game starts really ramping up, it's like this bright fiery red for a short amount of time, and then you're dropped in underground and everything's just blue and cold and scary. And like the way that this game, it's just like an hour-long game, like hour and a half long game, but it goes through such a range of things without any dialogue, and the color is one of the big driving forces. So again, putting Journey in a slot that's like, hey, I love this game. We should talk about it more, and it's I think it impacted my career enough that I can keep thinking back about it and thinking, yeah, that's where I want to go.
Yeah.
So yeah, Journey again.
Yes.
Yeah, no, Journey's definitely a good touch point.
I've also recently, in my Pinterest folders, also we should talk more about Pinterest, because I'm finding that people have like a negative stigma that Pinterest is only for like old suburban mothers for making cookies that look cute, but when they make them, they look scary. But no, I love Pinterest, and I've been using it since high school, in my art classes in high school. And I have this folder that's just called Color. And in it, there's not just art. There's not just photos of people with interesting colors thrown in their faces to kind of look at a human face in a more alien way. There's just all sorts of things in my color folder. There's like mountain ranges, there's sunsets, there's clouds, there's, like I said, people with like weird lights, there's Disney concept art. And there's just it's so not focused on line, which is so different from where I started in art, which is all like comic books and hard lines and like big muscly dudes with like deep shadows. Big muscles. And then I started understanding like the complexities and what was so interesting about color and how many crazy facets you could turn it into. And I was just like, oh wow. And this folder is just like a huge celebration of just color. I like that. I like that it doesn't have to be like color can weasel its way into all media and all genres and push them forward.
Yeah.
I think that's what's kind of cool about color. It's not just like your brother was saying, like it's not a crayon box. Colors are moods, they're emotions, they're temperatures and tones.
Oh my goodness, there was this really amazing. I'm so sorry, I'm so bad with names. I want to say he was one of my classmates at PCAD. I believe his name was Kai. No, I'm thinking of somebody else. He went into the photography track, but we had this really incredible. We had an assignment where we had to do portraits, and he did one of himself. But what's it called? The amazing thing about his portrait was that he didn't use a single. I think he did it in like either pastels or oil pastels or color, whatever the fuck he used. He didn't use a single shade of brown. And that blew our fucking minds. Like, oh my goodness. Like, it was a beautifully done portrait. But, like, with the second he said that, we all just kind of lost it for a second. Because it was just like, oh my god. You achieved, like, such an accurate skin tone with, like, all this depth without using a single shade of brown. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that was, like, part of, like, what started the, what's it called? What started the the color journey for me of like realizing how much more complicated color is than I initially would give it credit for. Mm-hmm. If I really look back, I guess like the first time I like kind of thought of color in a little bit more of like a more complex sense was like during art class one time when I was like a kid. We were looking at the color orange, and I guess I never really thought about orange like in a very complicated way, but like when we started adding white to it, when we started adding white and black to it, it started looking more like skin tones, and it hadn't occurred to me that skin tone was a branch off of orange.
Yeah.
That never occurred to me, and I was just like, oh, huh. And then when I started at PCAD, and we started like doing like those color assignments and things like that, especially in our second semester, freshman year, color just like hit me in the face, man. I was not like prepared at all for what color had in store for me. I had like a whole mental breakdown because I just could not process what the fuck color was. Oh my god, it was the chromatic grays assignment. I could not fathom that for the life of me.
Yeah, the color wheels assignment, I don't know, maybe for me the like, you know, the traditional color wheel, like the rainbow, like it doesn't really, it didn't give me the epiphany moment, but yeah, the mixing of colors and the using different colors to achieve different types of grays, yeah, that's a whole nother kind of step towards like understanding the vastness that colors can bring.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's, oh my goodness, it blows my goddamn mind. Yeah.
The thing to understand about like that project, or good thing to understand about that project, because I don't remember it that clearly, but is that the thing that makes color so complicated is that it's not just understanding color; it's also understanding values and intensities, which is where we start branching off and color starts to get complicated. Where most people think of color as like the concept of just like red, blue, like hues. Nobody's really thinking about saturation or intensity or vibrancy or probably other words that I don't use enough in my regular vocabulary that I don't want to use incorrectly. But yeah, that's kind of how that project got really, really complicated at first, because I definitely was like, I don't really get it either. Like these muted colors, I don't really know how to get them or what to do with them. But yeah, putting like muted colors and intense colors and lesser intense colors create harmonies, and that creates images. And that's, you know, the complexity of painting. Painting with color, at least.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask something else about your favorite colors in different media, but I need a second to formulate the question properly.
You good.
And one thing I can speak to as far as like, I guess colors I gravitate towards is one thing that I will always remember from my freshman year and our color semester in 2D design was that I completely overused the color blue-green or like turquoise, stuff like that. Like, do you guys have a comfort color that you go to?
100%. I definitely fall into like blues a lot, but because purple is my favorite color, I use that all the time. I sketch with that color. I paint like the base color for my canvas. I go with like a grayish purple or like a medium purple. I always pick purple for my shadows and yellow for the lights. Come back to that later, because that was a whole thing for me. But yeah, purple being my favorite color, it is my comfort color, so that is what I always fall to.
I don't know if I have a comfort. Well, yeah, I guess I really like pink. Actually, yeah, my art usually goes to like a fuchsia. It goes to like a purple or a pink in that general like range. So, yeah, I jump back to it a lot. I don't know why. It's just the red's always been my favorite color, so I guess it makes sense that it would be a shade of red. But kind of, because it's the pink family, not the red family.
That's yeah.
Depending on what color wheel you ask. But yeah, no, I guess it's just calming. It's interesting. I don't have a lot of pink things or a lot of fuchsia things. So when they kind of, sometimes I see like little accents of pink here and there, and they just kind of really get my attention. It's very springy, and I like the spring. So I guess that's where that comes from. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, the blue-green I feel like is still a color that I just can't seem to escape from. Especially like the, mixing like a turquoise and orange, like complementary combo. I love that. I feel like recently I've been gravitating towards like yellows and like highlighter yellows.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so out there.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. It's just like such a standout, like bright color, and it's almost a color that like people tend not to like.
Yeah.
But I'm like determined to like it.
I can understand that.
I gotcha.
I mean, of course, if you were using it as like I was saying before about pink, like with an accent, if you had like a room that was mostly white, blacks, and grays, and then had like this garish highlighter yellow somewhere in there, then yeah, you know what? I think I'd like that if it was used well. But like, I think one of the reasons it's so hard to like it is because it's so intense. And I'm excited to see how you make it more palatable. Pun intended, by the way. So
Puns always intended.
Yeah. Yellow. Never would have seen you as a yellow guy, Chris.
Yeah.
The blue-green makes sense somehow. But I've told you before, like, your branding has always been like black, white, and even referencing chromes and grays. So it's just like, that's very Chris. But blue-green, if I had to pick a color, does kind of work for you.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because it's the color of your room.
Yeah, my room is blue-gray. It's kind of minty, I guess.
Yeah, mint.
Here we go with color names.
Well,
Oh, God.
I don't want to do this right now.
We'll come back to that too. There's a lot to unpack here. Color's way more insane. Yeah, I know, like, for one thing that, like I said, I had, like, a whole mental breakdown when it came to color, because I just could not fathom how the hell it worked. But what I did, what I eventually wound up doing, and what I still kind of do, is, like, just because I didn't understand how it worked doesn't mean that I didn't understand the rules. Like, specifically when it came to light and shadow. Whatever color, because there's color in both light and shadow. Shadow has a color. Don't ask me how that worked. I don't know. I just know that it does. And light, whatever color the light is, the shadow is the complementary color to that. So if you have, like I said, a yellow light, then you'll have a purple shadow. If you have a green light, you'll have a red shadow. You'll have all these crazy things. And even though I didn't understand how that worked, I understood that as a rule. So I made it a point in all of my pieces to give the light and the shadow a color, which is something I got complimented on a lot, which is, that's cool. Yeah, I worked really hard on my values. But yeah, that was a thing that I did a lot in my attempts to understand color, and I try my best to try to tell what. It's a lot easier to figure out what the shadow color is when I look at the color of the light. Shadows are something else, man. I do not understand that.
Why are shadows so difficult for you?
I don't know. sometimes I can tell, but usually I have to look at the color of the light, and I'm like, okay, well, if it's that color, then the shadows are probably this color, and then I just move on with my life because I don't understand. And you know what? That's fine. This is what it means to fake it till you make it. I don't get it, but I don't need to. I understand it enough, and that's fine. It's carried me this far.
Yeah, it's, with shadows, it's just, like, the intuitive and straightforward thing to think is that you just add black to the color.
Yeah.
Which is something that we learned is not necessarily the correct way to make a darker version of something. You want to add the complementary color. For me, with like a lot of 3D stuff, if let's say I want to do like a screenshot of a model that I created, I would make like an orange primary light, and then do a fill light from the other direction that is blue.
Yeah.
Or like a yellow light and a purple fill light. Trying to simulate what happens with real life in terms of light and the shadows that are created.
Yeah, there's a whole bounce light and ambient occlusions and all kinds of wild stuff.
I hadn't even thought about that.
Huh.
It never really occurred to me that you were talking about it in a 3D sense.
Yeah.
It didn't even occur to me that you guys have to use artificial light to actually like look at things and see what they. I just never thought about it. I don't know. In my head, I've never seen you work, like specifically for like work, like your day job. Or I'm just like, huh. I just thought you rigged all day. I literally just thought you just animated and moved things around all day.
No,
but I know you do more than that.
Yeah, I kind of bounce around from thing to thing. Like, a lot of my job is animation, rigging, modeling, but there's also like, figuring out lighting for a level or the colors that are used on a character's texture, stuff like that.
And that's super important. It's good that I didn't know that, and it's good that we get to have this part of the conversation on the podcast, because like I feel like so much of what I do and why I do it is to bring attention to what we do, because nobody knows. There are so many things that people don't really like. Someone's like, "Oh yeah, I do this for a living," and you're just like, "What is that? What do you do?" Whatever. And of course, like, visual artists get that a lot too. And it's so easy for even us to not know what each other do in our like work pipeline and like what goes into doing what we do. And it's cool. I don't know. It helps me appreciate what you do more, because I know that there are more levels to it that I don't get, even though I know of like the job and the job description.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out like an easy way to explain what I do, because like my family asks and I'm like, I do things. I do stuff. It's creative and it pays the bills, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, I do creative, artistic things.
Yes, I do things. I do things and I'm paid for them, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
We're doing a good job here at making people appreciate artists. I swear we're not lazy bums.
Promise. Oh, good God, no. Artists work so hard. My God. And it's worse because, like, we have to, like, work with, like, against all of the stigmas of being, like, lazy and starving and all this crazy stuff, and it's a whole thing.
That's true.
Yeah. It doesn't help that, like, a lot of algorithms and things, like, the internet is such a beautiful and amazing place, and it's fantastic that so many people can make livings off of what they make on the internet, making free content. That's fantastic. It's just a shame that there's, like, so many algorithms that work against, like, small businesses and artists and stuff like that. Like, Instagram's even making it difficult. YouTube's slowly been killing them off over the years. it's a shame, but like there's still people are still making it, and that's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you guys see? This is very off topic, but did you guys see the? What was the? There's a new social media for artists.
Oh, Bubble House. I think that's what it's called.
Is it?
I have not heard of this.
Yeah, there's I don't know. I've just seen a lot of the people that I follow on Instagram that are more art minded are like saying that they're moving over to this other platform that's like specific for creative people.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Especially like the people I follow on Instagram, because they're just like, hey, so like Instagram sucks, so we're gonna move over here, and I'm just like, yeah, that makes sense. I think I have it on my list to like look into that in like the coming weeks and move some stuff over.
This one is Artful.
Artful.
Oh, Artful. I know that one.
Yeah.
That one, I am familiar with that name. I don't know too much about it, though.
Yeah, I've yet to look into it at all, and I don't know if it's something that's going to take off or not, but just curious. But anyway.
Anyway, that tangent aside, that's a whole thing that we can get into on another day.
Yeah. But back to color.
Back to color. Yeah. So,
It
Marshaun, you
always
got
comes back to color.
Marshaun, you got anything to add with the what your favorite color is and what color stuff inspires you and all that fun jazz?
I answered that question. When we talked about Journey.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Let's talk about the idea of like color schemes and color palettes and how you choose color palettes.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I'm excited to see how you answer that, because that's exactly how I would have answered that question.
I will start this segment by asking you because I really don't have a good answer.
Okay, so we don't know how to pick color palettes. Great. Let's talk about that.
Okay. All right. I will say I've been trying my best to like be better about picking color palettes, because like, okay, this is another thing that I still don't understand, but I'm trying to. I'm actively trying. I don't know how well I'm doing, but you know, who cares? I care. I care a lot. I want to be good at what I do, damn it. Anyway. Something that I was told a bit by a number of people throughout college was like, oh, like, don't have a million colors. Like, pick a few colors and stick to them. And that always messed me up, because I'm just like, what do you mean? What do you mean only pick a few colors and stick with it? Because like there's so many different colors that go into a scene. Like, it's just like, okay, you have like a field scene that's just like, oh, it's this person in like, or like these people having a picnic. Well, there's a lot of colors that go into that. There's the green of the there's the green of the grass, there's the blue of the sky. That's already 2 colors. Like, how many colors am I allowed to have?
Sure.
What, like, it just always scared me into like having to limit my color usage, and I don't know if that necessarily helped or hurt what I was doing. I will say though that Hilda does a spectacular job of having a consistent like color theme throughout all of their episodes. Stellar job, love it. Go watch Hilda, it's amazing. Back to what I was talking about. And I struggled to pick color themes for my work as well, because again, like, you know, I wanted to pick like colors that I could work with and not go too overboard. I've been kind of letting go a little bit of the idea of like limiting myself in that way, because I feel like I've just kind of scared myself into awkward corners. So what I try to do is I try to think of what colors I like, or what colors I feel like would go well with the scene, and then like I'll pull up either like a gamut mask or like an actual like color wheel, and I'll try and look at what other colors go well with the colors that I thought. Like, I don't know, let's say I'm just like, oh, I really want like there to be like oranges and yellows in this what's that called, in this piece. Well, what other colors would go well with those? And then I'll just kind of look around at like the tertiary and the what is it, the quadratic,
tetradic,
those things, color palettes, and I'll just kind of fiddle with that until I find a color palette that I'm happy with, and then I'll just kind of run with that for a bit. I can't say for certain whether or not it works. I'd like to think it does.
Yeah, I mean, but I guess my follow-up question to that train of thought is, like, how do you know what colors feel good with it? Because, like, in theory, you could, like, pick a color and then pick any other color and someone could say, that looks good.
Yeah.
But I guess, is it motivated by the piece in particular? Like, the mood of the piece that you're making?
Sometimes. It kind of... I'm trying to think of an example. Sometimes it's, like, motivated by the mood of the piece. Sometimes it's motivated by, like, something in the piece where I'm just like, this thing right here has to be yellow, so I have to find, like, other colors that are gonna enhance that or let me have that. Let me see if I can find an example. I gotta... Because I can't think of anything right off the top of my head. And in the meantime, Chris, how about you answer your own question?
Let's see. How do I pick color schemes?
Hey, Chris, how do you do it?
I guess part of picking colors for me is a lot of it is about the mood. I'm trying to think about the last game that our company released, and for example, there's a scene in the game that's meant to be scary and like ominous, so we use like a purple and like a dark, like mysterious purple, and then with accents of like red, and there's like orange fire, so it's like a lot of the color schemes that we choose are directly related to the mood that we're trying to convey at the time. Or from a game design perspective, there's the idea of choosing colors that will stand out at certain moments. So say there's something that we want the player to look at in that purple scene, then we make it like a bright yellow to make it stand out against all of the, moodiness.
Makes sense.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Someone remind me of what the question was again.
Color schemes and how you tend to arrive at the color schemes that you use.
Oh, yeah. This is the simplest answer, but I'm sure it's going to be the longest because I use a lot of words. I just steal them. I just, like... God.
Yeah.
There's so much seemingly incredibly complicated stuff that people like go through people's minds when it comes to like, I'm going to start doing color as a professional artist, or I'm going to start doing color as an artist who's, trying to do it a little bit more, not necessarily a hobbyist anymore. I'm taking it seriously. I want to get better. And for so long, at least in my journey, it was a lot like what Carolyn was saying. I need to limit myself because there's so many colors. What can I use? What do I have in my colored pencil box? Because half of my box is broken. So that's all I have to use, and I'll use that. And then later down the line, it was the same thing with paints. Like, I lost some of my paint. I'll just use these, and that's my palette. And we did study different types of color palettes in high school, and we did talk about them in college, but they were always so complicated to me because I didn't quite get where they were going at. I guess I wasn't like moving at the same pace that the classes were moving. I was getting bits and pieces of the information, but not all of it. And that's just about studying. I just needed to study more. Point is, when I'm working on a piece currently, first thing I need to do is know what the tone is. What's the tone? What's the mood? What's the emotion of this scene? Am I doing a scene with my characters who I created for like a children's book? They're like in a canoe and they're rafting. Like and it's a bright day and they're like going to find some great treasure. Well, am I going to make that black and purple and and maybe throw some teals in there? And that would be a nice palette, but that doesn't fit the tone.
Right.
So I usually think, okay, this is the tone, this is the mood. What other artists are doing tones and moods like this? What other thing have I seen that inspired a scene like this? And I'll be like, okay, this palette right here. It's a bright sunny day. It's an image from The Legend of Zelda. It could be an official image. It could be somebody else's artwork. It doesn't really matter. But if the palette fits what I'm feeling, I'll usually just use those colors. I won't color pick or anything like that, of course. I'll take the image, I'll look at it, shrink it down, and just look at it for the colors. I don't really care what the subject is. And if that's the mood I'm going for, or if it's mostly what I'm looking for, I'll just take that palette. I'll take those colors, mix them all together in one big blurry mess, throw it on my image, and then I'll start picking and pulling where those colors need to go, where those tones need to go. And once I've got most of the information that I need, if I can find another palette or two more palettes or something that like enhances what I already have, like maybe there's another palette with a little more reds in there and I think that looks a little better, or there's another palette with a little more with different greens in there, or more variations of green that I really want to try out, then I'll try that out in my piece. But it's really about just taking information that it already works and learning how to do it yourself by throwing things at the board and seeing what sticks. That's usually how I try to learn something through it. I'll put myself in the deep water and I'll try to figure it out from there. Because I'm trying to figure it out in a way that I like have to adapt to make it work. Or there'll be another failed piece, and I don't want to have another failed piece. I don't want to, just more unfinished work to add on to the pile. But I think another point that needs to be made about that is also that I have to get excited about it. Because that makes me want to do the research, that makes me want to find the palettes, that makes me want to keep this emotion that I've got going for this piece I'm working on and keep pushing it through. If there's no emotional connection to the color as well as there was the drawing or the other stages before the color, well then how do you expect to keep that energy from the beginning going through if you're like, I don't really care about the colors, or I don't really know what I'm doing, so I'll throw anything on there. Come into it with an intention first and then follow through with that intention. I think that's what I've been like trying to teach myself as of late.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my answer.
Yeah, it's good that it's like, it's not too worried about the like technical, what is correct, what's incorrect. It's more just have, like try something out and just try and stick to it and see if it works.
I think, yeah. Stick to it, see if it works. Play around. I think play around is something that needs to be said a lot more. It's being said a lot by artists in like the actual art community. We're not the art community. We're a podcast. We're a podcast in Lancaster. But a lot of people will say that, and I definitely didn't understand it when I was starting out. It was just like, have fun, be loose. But I was just like, no, tighten up and make things look good. And that was like one of the things that slowed me down. I didn't know how to just have fun, keep having fun, and figure it out as you go. I was always like, I have to do it right the first time. And that really it was not the way to go. So yeah, just play around. Maybe that should have been my answer. Just play around. I also wanted to talk very briefly about my teacher in high school, my advanced drawing teacher, Mr. Horvath, who was very well known for his, he might still be well known for, I don't know if he still does them, but he did these portraits, 18 by 24. He just sit in the middle of the art hallway in Charter Arts in the original building, not the new building, the high school I used to go to, and he would just like do these massive portraits of with these pastels, and there'd be different colors all over the place. It didn't look like skin. It was never supposed to. But on this toned paper, he's got like bright pinks and neon greens and yellows and like teals. And he's doing a portrait of, I think, his father-in-law. or maybe it was his father. I can't remember. It was years ago. And we would walk by him, all of us like new artists, and we'd be like, "Well, how are you doing that? How are you doing this so well? How do you know which colors to use?" And he's like, "Well, I'm colorblind. I can't see these colors. I just see temperatures." And that blew my mind, and I'll never not remember that, because it's like we put so much focus on the color, because the color is the thing we see first. We're just like, that's a portrait. Those are random colors. How does this make sense in my brain? But what he's seeing and what he's trying to communicate is that it's really more so about the intensities of the color, the harmony of the colors, how they work in unison to make something. Right. It's not so much about the hue or color. It's more so about what these temperatures, what these intensities do with each other, next to each other. Like a pale pink and a bright orange will look very different in black and white if you like take the color out of them. It's not just pink and orange. One of them is probably going to be like super blown out, and one of them is going to be a little darker. And that value is that value communication is what's more important than the specific hues. So as long as you've got strong values, you will always have a good piece, even if the colors are crap in most cases. If your values look good, if everything is readable, you're fine. So that's another reason why you should play with color more and just see what you can make happen.
Yeah.
But yeah. I got all that from high school. I got all that from Mr. Horvath. And I think about it all the time when I think about color. And yeah.
Yeah. It's such a nice, like, pivotal moment.
I still, like, see that portrait in my head, and I'm like, tone paper's awesome, pastel's awesome, and he's great for teaching us that. But, yeah.
Do you guys still, like, I know it was something that we had to do in college for certain assignments, but do you guys still see value in doing like an entire drawing in black and white first and then do a color overlay?
I have things to say about this. So, again, this is going back to like not understanding why things work, but understanding that they do. So for a long time, so like I understood, I listened to my professors when they said work in value first and then work in color. Like make sure that you got the values right and that it'll make sense, because if the values are right, then like the color can just like slide on and it'll be fine. That's arguable, but whatever. And so like throughout my entire college career, I would always work values first and then color. And because of that, I got complimented a lot on my values, and that was like something that people said I did a really good job with. Go me. But since exiting college, I haven't had the luxury of time to actually do that as much as I used to, which kind of bums me out a little. It has forced me to like work on my color more, which is really great. But I was thinking about it recently, how like I've had to just jump into color so often because I didn't have the option of value to like work on the values first. So I'm hoping to like kind of circle back to that in this coming year, because that's something that I want to like get back to, because I don't want to lose touch with that, especially since it was something that I was good at. But yeah, values, those are important too. Don't sleep on those values, damn it.
I've been heckled before for doing a value painting before finishing up my colors. And it was funny, but it was also really annoying. Like I was showing a class my in progress video. It was going from the beginning to end of these two portraits I was doing, and I absolutely started in black and white because I'm a person that really likes to take steps and know that there's like a solid foundation under something before I go to the next thing. But I'm also impatient, so sometimes I'll just rush through. But that's not the point. So I did these paintings in black and white, and here's the video I'm showing everyone sped up. And I sit there for the longest time in black and white, more so than color. And someone's just like, you don't have to paint in black and white. You can just start with the color. And I'm just like, well, it doesn't work the same for me. I can start with color now. Like, that's not I taught myself how to do that. But I like painting in black and white. It reminds me of my traditional painting classes when we would do a dead layer or a grisaille layer. And that just kind of brings me back to a part of my artistic process that got put into me from high school when I was training as a fine artist more so than an illustrator. And I like taking schools of thought from different types of art making and putting them together. So I keep that, if for that one sense that I know that a lot of other people aren't doing it, or a lot of people will skip the process. But there's also the thing that if you just put the color on top of the black and white painting, no one will ever really know that you did it in black and white. So what's the point? Well, having that structure, understanding where the light's going, focusing more so on, like I said before, the communication of an image more so than the colors, and and just being like, okay, this is depth. How do you describe depth? You just describe it with lighter values, going further back in space, things that are in front of you. They're usually darker, heavier outlines, things like that. If you want your attention somewhere, you want it to be the highest point of contrast. How do you create contrast, darks and lights? That's mostly value. So that's why I really, really like to do black and white paintings or monochrome paintings. They don't have to be black and white, but I like to do black and white paintings a lot. It just made a lot of sense to me when I was learning color to not do color.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's that. I forgot where I started. So I'm going to assume that I finished what I was trying to say.
Yeah, values and paint portraits and...
Oh yeah, my heckling. That's right.
Yes.
Anyway, that's why I do it, and let people do their process the way they want. That was the end of that. This is where I was getting to.
Don't harass people for how they work unless it's real bad.
Unless it's a real bad. Unless they're trash.
It's trash.
Well, are there... I guess we don't have to get into that, but like...
That can be a topic for another day.
Objective artistic choices that are objectively wrong.
That's something I'd have to think about.
You'd have to think about first, what are the things that everyone says you should do? Like, that everyone... Not everyone, but most people kind of wildly accept, like, hey, you're doing a digital painting, zoom out.
Yeah.
And flip the canvas every now and again. Like, flip it, see what it looks like on the opposite side. Is it balanced? Is it unbalanced? See the whole piece at once instead of zooming in every little pixel and painting them in. That's going to take a long time to get things done. But, yeah, some things are objectively correct and some things not so much.
Yeah.
That could be a fun episode.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, jot that down.
Hey, how will you do that?
I've been taking notes.
Yay, you're the
Someone's responsible here.
I'm doing my best, man.
Do you guys follow this Instagram account? It's colorpalette.cinema.
No.
It is such a lovely account. They just take screenshots from different movies and color pick colors from it, and they create a color palette, and it's just like it's really cool. Like to get ideas of how color is used in these different pieces of cinematography.
That's so cool. I've been wanting to do like scene studies for the longest time. Just like finding scenes in movies or shows that I really like and then just doing like color sketches and things. Mm-hmm. This would be super helpful and it'll probably be good for finding some new movies.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, you actually remind me, I'm sending it to you now.
Thank you.
You reminded me of something that I've seen lately advertised. It's these really cool like paintings that each color on them is a scene from a movie. Like they take the primary color of that scene and they like shrink it down, and then they just like line it up for the movie, and it was so cool to see that because like you can really see like the themes of the movies all together, and like people who know the movies well can probably like look at some of those colors and be like, oh, I know what scene that is, and I was just like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's like the strips, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that. I can't remember what it's called, but I love it.
Yeah.
Did we ever talk about how this is going to be like color episode 1?
Oh yeah, this is we're doing more of this because we do not know enough right now, and we're not going to pretend to know, but hopefully in the future, like in the coming years, we'll have better ideas of how this stuff works, or maybe we'll just discover that we have no idea how anything works, but that's okay because so does no one else. Or maybe we could get somebody who does know what they're talking.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like color's a very subjective and it's a subjective thing. and the perception and the ways in which an artist uses color is very different from person to person, and where they learn and how they learn it.
Yeah, that's absolutely what is fun about art, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't remember where I heard it, but you sit 50 artists in a room, or you sit 50 artists outside, and you ask them to draw the same tree. None of those trees will look the same.
Yeah, that's so cool.
You give them all the same materials, and it'll always look different, and that's really, really cool. So the usage of color can be as varied between artists as the way they hold their pencil. Like there's so many different ways to do things, to do specific things, and so many different ways that people feel. And because emotions and colors are so heavily connected, things will change, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
The processes will change. But yeah, color, episode 1.
Yeah.
That's us.
That is us.
And then like episode 2, we'll be like color geniuses. We'll come back like a year later and be like, color episode 2. Here's how color theory works, and that's just me for an hour, and then you guys talk about something else for an hour respectively. It's just like a whole seminar.
Yes.
Thanks for coming to our TED Talk.
And it's free. It's all here for you guys.
Yeah. It would kind of be interesting for maybe in the future. I don't know why. It's like brainstorming podcast ideas on the podcast. Very meta.
Yes.
But like bringing one of us develops a more formal educational segment.
Ooh.
That is it with the intent of being educational rather than more of the opinion based topics, and that can influence the rest of the episode or something.
That could be cool. Yeah.
I like that a lot. I would absolutely love an educational segment on these podcasts.
Yeah. Oh, and maybe we could do it live. So, like, if somebody's watching, they can, like, ask questions actively and be like, oh, hey, and contribute to the conversation. At some point, I want to do one of these podcasts live.
Yeah, that'd be really fun.
That'd be super fun. I like that. Maybe we could do, like, episode 10 special or something.
Yeah.
You two are a lot more confident with your scriptless conversation having than I am. You're like, do it live. I'm like, what?
I mean, why not? I haven't edited anything so far.
I want to write an essay on a topic and bring it into the podcast and be like, hey guys, so I spent a week researching this, and then just talk about it. And you're like, I want to bring people in. And I'm like, but I prepared this whole thing. And now we gotta talk to Gabby No Ears over here. And she's just like, oh, I really like your podcast. I'm like, shut up, Gabby, I got something to say.
Oh my god.
I'm sorry, Gabby No Ears.
What's Gabby?
Why would you be so mean to Gabby? I mean, what'd she do to you? She's just
so
a fan.
hard to write essays.
If you write an essay,
outside of school,
I'll make sure you have the time. Don't take it out on Gabby.
Gabby's gonna get in my way.
Stop being mean to Gabby. We love Gabby. We stand
Hashtag justice
Gabby.
for Gabby.
Hashtag justice for Gabby. Love Gabby. I will make sure you have time to talk about your 20-page essay. Just don't take it out on Gabby. She doesn't deserve it. She's doing her best.
That's debatable. Anyway, what were you saying before that?
I don't know.
Anyway, Chris, what were you thinking before that?
Don't know. What time are we at?
It's 12:42.
We're almost an hour in. Do you guys want to play the color game?
Was there really a game associated with this?
Yeah.
You have the color wheel.
But you also have it.
I sent it to you. You asked me to send it to you.
Yeah, but you gotta do it.
Why do I have to? Fine.
Yay. Because you've seen the color wheel. You got the spoils, so you gotta do it. Okay.
It has like 86 colors on it. You think I have them memorized?
I mean, still, it was funnier when you read it. Okay, so we're gonna do. So when we were like, we did a little powwow before this to like figure out like, oh, what are we gonna talk about and how are we gonna do it? And part of that, in our research, we found this ridiculous color wheel. That is going to be the only thing I edit in this entire podcast. Because, but essentially the way that this is going to work is Marshaun here is going to give us a color name because there are some pretty wild color names on here, and we're going to try and guess what the color is based on the name.
Yes.
This color wheel is called the Martian color wheel, by the way. I don't know why it's called that. I didn't do any research. It could be an official thing. I don't know.
We have no idea. I'm gonna put a link to it in the description maybe, but I'm definitely gonna like have it on the screen so you guys can play too if you want to. But yeah, so we're gonna do that for a little bit. So yeah, okay. So, Marshaun, what is the first color? Mother.
Which one did I not do already?
You said there's 86 colors and you can't figure out which one you haven't done.
Well, I did read all the interesting ones to you already. We have multiple families in this wheel, which is, I mean, if the wheel's on the screen, everyone can see it. But where do you think Golden Delicious is? You've got the yellow family, the green grape family, the chartreuse family, and the green pea family.
Are you sure
Now,
it's
Golden Delicious.
The Golden Delicious.
If I'm not mistaken, that is an apple.
It is an apple.
Yeah, it's an apple. I thought you were telling me, like, which family it was in, and I was just like, oh, Chris has got it already? An apple. And I was like, oh, that's not what I was expecting.
I mean, am I wrong?
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're wrong.
You're gonna sit here and tell me that I'm wrong? Grow up, bro. You're down in a bubble, dog. Okay, Golden Delicious is a yellow apple. What were the family names again?
You've got yellow, green grape, chartreuse, and green pea. Those are families.
Right, the family, the
Not
color
the color,
family.
the
Right.
family.
Right.
Wait, is green grape?
Green grape apparently is a family.
Okay. Well, I think yellow delicious is in chartreuse.
Golden Delicious.
Okay.
I think Golden Delicious is in yellow.
I think you're both wrong.
Wow.
It was, yes. Green grape.
my
Golden Delicious is in green grape,
It's
yes.
the fruits.
I will.
All right. Here's
Why is the yellow color not in yellow?
Here's an easy one for you. All right, here's an easy one. I'll give you 3 families, and you got to figure it out. Okay, we got Rose of Sharon. That is the color.
Rose of Sharon.
Yes, Sharon. Rose of Sharon.
Okay, Sharon, why you get a whole rose to yourself?
Or Sharon.
Sharon.
If you want to be a little extra.
Sharon. Sharon, you have that rose, but like, I swear to God, if it ain't pink.
The violet family, the aniline family, and the magenta family are the only families you get to choose from.
What the hell is aniline?
I don't know what aniline is, but I'm choosing it.
Yeah, you know what? We stand aniline. Sharon, you got that aniline?
It is in aniline, yes.
look at
Yay!
The power of being clueless. See, kids, you can fake it and make it.
So aniline is between magenta and what was the
Violet.
other one?
Magenta and violet.
So, wait, what color? Describe the color to us. Describe Rose Sharon.
I don't want to describe Rose Sharon.
Rocheron.
Or Sharon.
Rose Sharon. Rose of Sharon. You got me saying that name wrong. I mean, it's a purple. It's very similar to amethyst in my personal opinion, but amethyst is like 3 families over.
What the fuck? Okay.
Interesting.
Color's complicated, man. Color names are complicated. I don't even understand, man.
Okay, so we got sky blue. The families are blue, royal blue, and azure. Where do you think sky blue is in there?
I think sky blue has to be in blue.
Okay.
I'm gonna be extra and go with azure, and I swear to God, if sky blue isn't like a light ass blue, I'm gonna lose it.
Well, guys, I gotta tell you. It's in royal blue. And you guys picked either side, and we're both wrong.
God damn it.
Sky blue is in the royal blue family. What else is in the royal blue family? Pale blue. Delphinium blue. Royal blue. Obviously.
Royal
Blue is in the royal blue family.
And get this. Dark royal blue. I'll say it again, that's dark royal blue.
Is there a navy on this list?
No. Why?
That navy is objectively like
It's objectively the
color.
most blue color.
Navy, like, always messed me up as a kid, because the clothes we'd wear, we'd always look at it and be like, okay, is this black or is this navy blue? And I'd just have to stare at it for a while, look at it in the sun, pat it a few times, yeet it into the grass. I don't know. It was a whole thing
yeah.
trying to figure out.
If there's like a color that I actively dislike, I feel like it's navy in most contexts. I mean,
Why'd you bring it up then?
It can be nice, but it's just the fact that it can be so easily confused with black, and it's hard to match.
Yeah.
With navy?
Yeah, I feel like
There's a whole store named after the color that sells clothes.
well, you know what? That store is old.
I hate that. I hate that. That made me
Puns are
laugh.
always intended.
I hate that. Didn't see it coming. I expect that from her, not you.
I'm pretty sure these jeans are literally Old Navy jeans, and they're black. So.
Or are they?
Bum, 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 bum.
If this is Navy, I'm literally killing.
Say that on the pod.
Yes, let me not admit to murder. I am being very angry at someone.
It's all for the Jakes. Jakes?
The Jakes. It's all for the Jake Pauls, guys.
It's all for the
Jake
Japes.
Pauls.
Oh, no.
Japes
The
with a
Jake
P. Screw Jake Paul.
Jake Paul. I'm looking up navy blue right now just so I'm on par. I want to understand what navy blue looks like. This isn't a hard color to match with.
Yes.
But like,
Look at how close those are to black.
Also, notice how whenever you type any color into Google, they will never give you just one color, and that's it.
no, that's like 50 different shades of blue.
50
really
different
is.
shades of Nova?
No, what?
Navy.
50 Shades of Navy. You see, even Google can't get the right color. Color names are very subjective, I think. I don't know. I'm not an expert.
If there's anything to learn from the color wheel that we're guessing from, is that color names are a lie. And, I mean, it kind of brings up the whole question of, is the red that you see the same red that I see?
Ooh.
But that's a whole different scientific conspiracy theory type of conversation.
For sure.
I think more so than anything else, it's really just, what we really have to remember is just that color has an application, and just like anything else, we just need to know if we need to know all of it. Like anatomy, do we need to know how where the pancreas is as artists? No. Would it be nice to know what the abdominis rectus looks like? Yes. There's a whole, like in Photoshop, there's absolutely no person. There's no single person who knows how to use all of Photoshop because it's so all-encompassing. We use it as artists, and there's so many different facets to use as artists, but there are other people who, for different reasons, have to use Photoshop, and they're using programs and buttons that we never even touch.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to color, there's a level of color that we should know and understand as people who make things that don't exist. But then, like in the fashion world, there's a lot more of a need to be very color specific as well. And I think that's kind of where a lot of like crazy colors that are like literally just numbers at that point, those come from maybe that world.
Yeah.
That's more of a guess than a hard fact, but yeah, I think there's like so much of color in the illustration world specifically. It's really just a whole lot of like guessing and making and putting things together, and you're like, oh, this looks nice, and then you settle with it and you're happy. No one's ever like, oh, this is color E331005. It's like it's the color, and, and it works, and we don't care why it works. It just works. Yeah, that's at least how I feel about that.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Is that an art pun? Baroque?
If it ain't Baroque.
It was a good one. It was a good podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cornflower. Where do you think that is?
Cornflower.
Corn?
Isn't that a...
Corn?
Lightning round. Cornflower, go.
Is it in yellow?
It is not. Chris, your turn. Lighting round.
Isn't it blue?
It is blue. Yes, it is in the blue family.
Ah.
You got it right there. You didn't even.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't even just like.
I
Is
forgot
it a blue?
cornflowers are blue.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Lightning round. Dark red. Where is it?
I swear to God, if it's not in red.
Chris, what do you think?
It has to be red.
It is red. It is in
thank
fact
God.
in red. Okay.
Oh, thank God.
Ham.
Ham. Oh, we know this one. We know this one.
Where's ham?
Where's
It's not-
Ham?
Ham
It's
is a
one of
color.
the pinks.
Is it all?
We did this. Oh, we did this on Tuesday. What was it?
It was a light red.
It was.
Not pink. Difference.
Not pink. Pink is its own family.
That's right. What are the
Right next to Bougainvillea.
Oh my God.
Bougainvillea.
Bougainvillea. What are the family names again?
You've got red plum, red orange, and turmeric. Those are the only ones I'll give you.
Red plum. I'm gonna go with red plum.
A little bit
You
of,
think it's red plum?
little bit of purple in there.
You guys are horrible at lightning round. What do you think?
I think it's red.
You think it's red too? It is red. I tricked you. I tricked you. I went
Pale
back to
red.
ham.
I got a good memory.
Water ear. Or wheat ear, sorry.
Water what?
I read it wrong.
Wet ear.
Sorry.
What?
Wet willy. Do you know what color that is?
Wait, what is it called?
It's called wheat ear.
Wheat ear. We
which
didn't do
is
this one.
That makes a lot more sense.
If it's anything like wheat, I imagine it's somewhere in the yellow range.
That is correct.
Which
But
one?
which one?
Yes.
You've got turmeric, yellow cheese, and yellow.
Turmeric. I'm going with turmeric.
I'm gonna go with yellow cheese.
It is in yellow cheese.
Oh my gosh.
It is the first color under yellow cheese. Wheat ear.
I just want cheesy bread. That's really the.
You guys are making me
answer
more
there.
hungry.
This is the wrong conversation to be having on this podcast.
I'm hungry now.
Buff.
Feed me.
Buff?
Buff.
Buff.
That's not a color.
Orange, turmeric, and yellow cheese.
Which one feels the most strong?
I will tell you now, it is a desaturated color. It is not strong.
What? That makes me angry.
Well, buff could be a thing. Remember, all of these things are named after something.
It's a buff.
I've heard of a bourguignon buff. I don't know what that is, but that's a thing.
We'll say orange.
Yeah, I'm going with orange too.
It was in turmeric, guys.
Ah!
See, this is incorrect.
I'm angry.
What is a buff?
What is buff?
Can buff be a noun?
This is buff now.
It's an adverb. Or it's an adjective.
Yes, but also.
But like, if these are things, then they're nouns. And if is buff a noun?
Are you a buff?
Are you a buff?
Hey guys,
What?
I really need you
What
to.
do
I
you
really
want?
need you
What
to
do you
figure
want
out which
now?
color, where this color is, because if you can, you get $1 million. A Chinese strawberry.
What?
Can you direct me to a Chinese strawberry?
Is buff this color?
That's a color.
That's the color. That's buff.
Yeah,
Buff
it's
is a-
buff leather.
It's in the buff.
It's buff leather. Oh my God, it's leather.
See, why doesn't say that? Just as buff.
It's a color. It's a color.
You're a color.
Guys, Chinese strawberry. Yellow cheese, magenta, or red plum?
Magenta.
Red plum.
It is in fact red plum.
Ah,
Rhubarb leaf.
I was so
I-
good at this last time.
See, the bread was in the cheese category. The apple was in the grape category. So I had to do the strawberry in the plum category.
You right.
You know
You're
what?
so right.
He's
all
getting
related.
it. He's getting it.
You
And
get-
that's crazy.
You understand it.
You're understanding madness. Anyway,
Obviously.
olive drab. Where do you think olive drab is? Is it in Bougainvillea? Is it in clover? Or is it in yellow?
I'm going with clover.
Olive.
Please tell me it's like a gross color.
I'm gonna go with yellow.
It is in yellow.
Ah,
Drab olive.
I was so good at this last time, I swear. I was like doing so well.
Carolyn.
Yeah.
Carolyn.
Yeah.
Kunzite. Kunzite.
I should know this.
Is it in turmeric? Is it in azure? Or is it in I need to pick another one.
So it's not in that one.
Shit, dog.
Okay.
Is it in Violet?
So we have to pick between turmeric and azure.
In Violet.
No.
That was the third.
No, you already gave away. It's not that one. I'm going with azure.
It's in Violet.
Ah. You lie.
I didn't lie. I pretended, and you fell for
You
it.
Wow.
You shouldn't have listened to Chris.
But he was doing so well. I thought his judgment was sound.
I'm sorry. I
Got fooled on that one.
I gotta play the mind games. It's just how it is.
You are a mind game.
Yes.
See, color is a mind game.
Color is a mind game. That was my goal all along. Chrissy stole my thunder. I'm kidding. I did not think about that.
Color is a mind game, and I don't understand.
Color, much like love, is a minefield. That's all for us, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.
Dun, dun, dun.
No, that's it. That's you have to finish that. What is our theme song now, Chris?
Dun, 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 dun,
He's composing.
dun, dun.
Yay!
Create a cast.
That's it. You're gonna sound clip that,
Okay,
right?
bye.
We're done.
Oh, we're sound clipping that. Bye.
Bye.